Karachi is a city of more than 16 million residents, making it the largest and the most important city in Pakistan. It forms the economic backbone of the country. It is the only port and contributes 20% to its GDP, as well as 40% of the income tax collected. Out of the 16 million or so residents of the city, 75% are employed in the informal sector, mostly in the garment, leather, textile, and light engineering industries. More than 50% of them also live in poverty. What was a city of a mere 500,000 people in 1941 has today become a huge urban challenge and a battle for land, employment, and resources, with housing posing a major issue. "61% of the total population of Karachi lives in people's housing, and 89% of those live below the poverty line, with the majority living in substandard conditions. Most do not hold land entitlements, and the government too is skeptical of investing in such localities."
लो इनकम सेटलमेंट में ज़्यादातर जो मसाइल हैं वो दो तरह के हैं। एक वो हैं जो नई आबादियाँ सेटल हो रही हैं, वहाँ पे मसाइल दूसरे हैं। वहाँ पे आबादकारी का मसला है, वहाँ पे प्लानिंग का मसला है। जो पुरानी सेटलमेंट्स हैं अब वहाँ पे कंजेशन ज़्यादा हो गई है, वहाँ पे घर छोटे हो रहे हैं और दूसरी तरफ पॉपुलेशन बढ़ रही है और गलियाँ छोटी हो रही हैं, सिकुड़ती जा रही हैं। और वहाँ पे जैसे आबादी बढ़ रही है, अब वो शुरू में किसी ने लाइन डाल दी है सीवरेज की, अब वो लोगों की मौजूदा जो आबादी है उसकी ज़रूरत पूरी नहीं कर रही। आबादी बढ़ना कुदरती अमर है, लेकिन हुकूमत भी डे टू डे अपने रूटीन के फ़ैसले करती है। इसी तरह ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा आबादियाँ, हमें कच्ची आबादियों को ऐसी सेटलमेंट में चेंज करना है।
Machar Colony lies right off the port in Karachi and is a people's housing settlement. The residents there speak of their problems.
मसाइल तो बहुत ज़्यादा है, मसाइल का कोई तो हिसाब नहीं है। सबसे पहले तो हमारे ये नॉलेज है, ये देखो ये नदी जो है ये बड़ा ऊपर है, ऐसा है कि उसके ऊपर बच्चे ना घूम रहे, कभी ना कभी अंदर भी जा रहे, जो चले गया तो गायब है। मसाइल पानी नहीं है उधर ही, स्कूल नहीं है सरकारी, बिजली का यही हालात है, गैस तो है ही नहीं। मसाइल तो बहुत है। गली तो आप देख रहे कि हमारे सब कुछ कच्चा है, पक्का तो कोई रोड है नहीं। तो मसाइल में क्या क्या बता रहे कुछ क्या है, सफाई का कोई इंतज़ाम तो है नहीं। ये डेरे देखा आप खुद ही देख रहे कि कचरे पड़े, गंद पड़े।
यहाँ तो मसला है हम लोग, ये एक तो पानी नहीं है, बिजली नहीं है, गैस नहीं है, और दूसरी बात है जब हम लोग मकान छत में टूटा हुआ और बारिश जब होती है हम लोग चल नहीं सकता हूँ, घर से निकल नहीं सकता हूँ।
So, would it make sense to shift them on the outskirts of the city in alternative housing schemes? And are they willing to go?
हम तो जाने के लिए इसलिए तैयार नहीं है कि तकरीबन मैं अपना बात करूँ कि मैं 19 साल से इधर ही रहता हूँ। ये 19 साल में हमने जो कमाया, हमारी ये अंदर खोने में घर है, उसी पे लगा रहा हूँ। तो इतना खर्चे की अगर हमको दे रहे, क्या दे रहे, प्लाट देगा 50,000 रुपये देगा, उसमें क्या होगा?
ये अभी जो बोल रहे हैं यहाँ से मकान तोड़ देगा, तुम लोग दूसरी जगह देगा, मगर हम लोग का कारोबार तो इधर ही है। कमाने वाला घर पे 2 है, खाने वाला 20 है। ये मसला, हम लोग वहाँ से दूर चला जाऊँगा, फिर वहाँ से यहाँ काम करने के लिए आएंगे कैसे? टाइम लग जाएगा, यहाँ से काम निकल जाएगा। नहीं, इसी को सही करना हम लोग के लिए अच्छा है, बेहतर है।
Paharganj is another low-income settlement in Karachi, which is suffering from density issues as well as access to services.
पहला तो ये है कि ये हमारे जो मोहल्ला है ना, ये लीज नहीं है, कच्ची बस्ती है। बाकी एक तो 15-15 दिन के बाद हमें पानी मिलता है, तो क्या करेंगे भाई, तो पानी भी नहीं मिलता हमें, और बाकी हमारा मोहल्ला भी नहीं लीज है, और बिजली भी बहुत जाती आती रहती है। लीज तो यहाँ होना चाहिए ना मसाल।
किसी ने बोला यहाँ से जाएं?
नहीं, अभी तक बोला तो नहीं किसी ने, लेकिन ये है कि बंदा घर नहीं बना सकता, कह रहे हैं कि ये मोहल्ला उठ जाएगा और ऐसे। अरे भाई, हम तो इधर ही रहना चाहते हैं ना, हम जहाँ से रह रहे हैं यहाँ ही रहना चाहते हैं कि हमने यहाँ घर बनाया और छोटे मोटे तो गरीब लोग रहते हैं, छोटे छोटे जो थोड़ा बहुत पैसा लगाया वो तो नाना बर्बाद हो किसी का.
And if we make our way down to Paposh Nagar, in the backdrop of built housing lies a settlement on the banks of Karachi's industrial and sewage waste.
मुझे तो अभी यहाँ पे तकरीबन 7 साल हुआ, 8 साल आए हुए इस मकान में. ये आबादी जो है 40 साल 50 साल पुरानी है. ये 40 साल है तकरीबन पुरानी आबादी. इसमें आज तक कोई देखने भालने वाला कोई नहीं आया आज तक. हालांकि अभी बारिशें इतनी बड़ी बड़ी बारिशें गुजर गई हमारे घर में. 6-6 फुट पानी 7-7 फुट पानी खड़ा हुआ था घर के अंदर. कोई देखभाल करने वाला नहीं था. भाई हमारे मसले तो बहुत कुछ हैं. ये गटर का मसला है, पानी का मसला है. पानी हमारा पीछे गली में नल का पड़ा हुआ है, खुशक हो गया. उसको लिए दरख्वास्त हम नाज़िम साहब के पास लेके गए. वो कहने लगे जी आप गली के चौधरी लगे हो. मैं यहीं करीब में रंग का काम करता हूँ. हाँ भाई ये है कि भाई थोड़ा आना जाना हो जाता है, करीब काम रहता है. और दूर होते हैं ना, दूर में तो हमारे को वही नहीं होता है.
Now, one would think that shifting people into low-cost flats is a better option for them, but visiting such buildings makes it clear that the problems of congestion are the same, if not worse, while getting services there too pose a huge challenge. The Liari area of Karachi houses hundreds of thousands in such low-cost flats.
मसाइल तो है ही, आपको बताया अभी. सीवेज सिस्टम है, पानी सिस्टम है, इलेक्ट्रिक सिस्टम है. गंदगी सफाई ये नहीं है. यहाँ पर आपको एरिया पूरा नज़र आ रहा है, गंदगी के ढेर से भरा हुआ है. सारे इंक्रोचमेंट है यहाँ पर और कोई निज़ाम सही नहीं है. यहाँ पर कोई तरक्की इस एरिया में काम नहीं हो रहा है.
अच्छा, अगर लोग खुद से कोशिश करें ठीक करने की,
नहीं हो सकता, नामुमकिन है.
क्यों? अगर पैसे डालें सारे
नहीं हो सकता. कैसे डाल सकते हैं? एक आदमी तो नहीं है, लाखों करोड़ों की तादाद, हज़ारों की. किस तरीके से होगा? या तो हुकूमत का हुकूमत पूरा टैक्स वसूल कर रही है, उसी हिसाब से तो यहाँ पर सहूलतें भी थे ना.
Civil society and the NGO sector have played an important role towards upgrading, and there have been a number of successes. The Urangi pilot project and the Khuda Ki Basti are two successful models of people's housing that have received much acclaim. But before introducing these models, let's take a look at the housing history of Karachi and why government initiatives have not been able to address the issues.
In terms of housing, the government came up with several options, and the first option that they launched was the built unit housing approach, in which, with the assistance of World Bank and other donor agencies, they tried to come up with different types of built unit developments which were to be doled out to the needy households, and the cost was to be recovered in easy installments, and those recovered revenues were supposed to form a revolving fund for further investment into the housing sector. Now, it was very ambitious because the government thought to construct as much as 45,000 housing units per year, and the whole rehabilitation program was chalked out for an overall time period of 5 years. However, they found that it was an extremely capital intensive exercise, and very soon they had to abandon this particular approach.
Subsequently, the government launched a massive sites and services program in the 1960s. But this program could not reach the target population. Firstly, it was unaffordable for the urban poor, and secondly, the process of acquiring a plot was a long and complicated procedure, which consisted of bureaucratic procedures that viewed the poor with hostility and suspicion. In addition, the scale of the program was too small for demand, and as such, informal settlements continued to grow. Meanwhile, the sites and services were taken over by the middle class or held for speculation, offering no relief for the poor. The housing demand as well as the backlog continued to increase.
Karachi has a housing demand of about 80,000 units every year. About 30 to 35,000 units are produced by the formal sector, that is by building permits. An additional 30 to 32,000 units are produced in Kachi Abadis or informal settlements. The rest are either not built or units are created through the densification of existing settlements. Over the years, the number of people living in informal settlements has increased. At present, 61% of the population of Karachi lives in informal settlements, which means about 1.2 million households. There is no option but to upgrade these settlements.
Another major challenge faced in the housing sector is Karachi's outlook towards fitting into the dynamics of a global city. Mega projects are accompanied by large-scale evictions, with victims being relocated on the outskirts of the city, away from their jobs, children's education centers, social networks, as well as their places of recreation.
If they are relocated on the city's periphery, it causes immense problems for them. Women can't work. Travel time to and from their residence for work purposes increases. Travel costs increase. There is considerable evidence to suggest that by being relocated, they become poorer. Also, children's education is affected. It takes a long time for schools to be established in these settlements and for them to be consolidated. So these are the major problems. Regarding high-rise apartments, there are other problems associated with them. People cannot carry out any economic activity in these apartments as they can in their upgraded settlements. In addition, you cannot increase apartments, you cannot add to them, whereas these informal settlements grow incrementally as the family grows. So this growth is affordable. Then there are issues of affordability in high-rise construction. An apartment cost would come to a minimum of $5,500 per apartment, whereas a upgrading program for a existing informal settlement would be about $300 per household. So there is an enormous difference in this. For these reasons, it is obvious that a program for upgrading settlements is more viable sociologically and in economic terms. Also, the scale of converting existing settlements into high-rise apartments or relocating them is so enormous that it is not possible for the state to finance this.
The young and dynamic mayor of the city, though, has a definite vision, which according to him can serve as a successful model for development.
Whatever plan and vision we had provided in our master plan for decongestion for all those congested areas of Karachi and create vacuum and create new neighborhoods surrounded by the industrial zones and small satellite cities there in different part of Karachi, so that we can and all removing all these encroachers from the very miserable condition which they are in right now, to take them and establish a new areas where infrastructure is given and then rehabilitate them there. And the classic example is the Lyari Expressways inhabitant, where we had removed 28,000 families from the sewage river, and they were living a very miserable life, but we had moved them in three different directions of the city, in the city, and we provided them the infrastructure, schools, water, sewage, and other things. The same way we had the plan to stop, first of all, stop that encroachment which are taking place and becoming the Kachi Abadis, and rehabilitate all those who are already living in those areas.
Visiting the relocation site of the Lyari Expressway, however, does make it clear that there are a number of challenges to this model. Lessons learned include that despite being given alternate housing, these people return into the city, being accommodated by similar settlements near the ones they were evicted from. This highlights the importance of upgrading. These people live in these settlements in the city and will continue to do so, and that is a reality that governments need to realize. Khuda Ki Basti is a settlement on the outskirts of Karachi, which started off 9 years ago. Today, the 20,000 families living there seem happily settled.
So we adopted the approach of the informal sector and the strength of the formal sector, and we combined the two. And we said, let us experiment. So we found 100 acres of land within Gulshan-e-Shehbaz, and we said this is for Khuda Ki Basti, where we will experiment with the informal sector's approach. So there were a large number of difficulties. People didn't have faith in us because we are a public sector corporation. And there is there is a lack of, trust between government and the people. So they would come and see and they say what are they doing and whether it will be successful or not. And then we do know how to select the people who are the needy and shelterless. So through a process of trial and error, we found that those people who can come to a reception area with their families and baggage, they should be welcome. And the essential thing was that the water supply and transport should be there. And some people from the interior of Sindh, they came in bullock cart and donkey cart and they used to settle in the reception area with their baggage and the family members. And we said this is the real target group. The people who have no place to go, they will come and stay, and we made it a condition that people who would come here, they will immediately occupy plot and immediately start construction, and then we will provide the essential things.
Saiban, the NGO that launched this project, has constantly been upgrading the settlement. Today it is a neighborhood with schools and health centers, while various job opportunities are also available in close proximity. And the residents too are happy to show off their homes with much pride.
पहले बस किरायों पे रहती थी मैं, पहले किराए पे रहती थी, फिर यहाँ से मैं किसी रिश्तेदार था उसने बताया, फिर मैं यहाँ पे आई देखने के लिए, फिर यहाँ किसी के घर में रही, फिर यहाँ भाइयों के पास गई तो इन्होंने फिर बोला प्लाट मेरे को काट के दिया। बहुत महंगा पड़ता था, छोटे छोटे बच्चे थे, बहुत परेशानी थी, तो यहाँ पे आके ये सहूलत हुई हमको कि किराया नहीं भरना पड़ा। घर तो बना लिया, अल्लाह का शुक्र है, जैसे भी अल्लाह ने दिया तो हमने थोड़ा थोड़ा करके बना लिया। बस यही एक प्रॉब्लम थोड़ा सा ये है कि बस पानी और आ जाए, पानी की थोड़ी प्रॉब्लम है।
Another major success regarding upgrading would be the Orangi pilot project, a township consisting of an agglomeration of low-income settlements with a population of 1.2 million residents. The project was established in 1980 to overcome the constraints faced by the government in regularizing and improving housing conditions in the area. The major target areas for upgrading included sanitation, employment, health and education programs.
The first and the oldest program of ours has been to three key principles which Dr. Akhtar Hamid Khan, when he started the program, was number one, supporting people's own initiatives, self-help initiatives. They can be in sanitation, housing, health, education, wherever people's self-help initiatives are there. How can professionals and a team support them with social and technical guidance? That's the theme. The second is, how can there be partnership between people and government? So we build that partnership. Third is mobilizing local resources, no dependence upon foreign aid. With these three themes come up the programs of low-cost sanitation, low-cost housing, health and family planning, education, and credit for micro-enterprise. Illustration of low-cost sanitation, I could illustrate that and even others if you want. But the low-cost sanitation builds up the model of partnership between people and government. Because it became very clear at the beginning in 1980s that the government was not willing to take responsibility for developing the poor settlements. It said, well, we don't have the money, and if we want to do it, then we need to take World Bank or ADB loan. But they don't have the money because anything that the people can do in 1 rupee, the government needs 10 rupees for that. Or if it's done with foreign loan, you need 40 to 250 rupees for the same thing. So the lack of money was related to the corrupt mechanism within the government. OPP's work then became very clear that we can make an effort to get the government involved, but it won't come in the 100,000 families, more than 100,000 families. Self-financed. Lane sewers and latrines have all been self-financed by the people. That is where OPP came in with low-cost designs, number one, and number two, with mobilizing people. People were already doing these things themselves in 1980. It was not OPP coming up with a new idea, no. OPP simply observed that yes, people are laying sewer lines, but due to lack of technical guidance, it is being wasted. So how can we provide a little bit of technical guidance and social mobilization, and the work can be done. In housing, the first thing that we observed when we began the program, that was in 1987. 1980 was low-cost sanitation. 1987 was the housing program. In that, it became very clear that number one, the houses had huge cracks in the walls, the roofs were leaking, and there was hardly any foundations that people were making. So the first intervention, we became very clear, it had to be with training of the masons, yeah? That why, instead of using good quality blocks in the wall, why do you need to use it in foundations? Simply changing the concept that yes, foundation is very important. Training of the masons, training of the lane managers or active members of the community. And second was upgrading of building components. Right, like people were using concrete blocks. Initially it was 1 cement and 30 aggregate, yeah. It was hardly any strength. So how to make it of good quality, like the engineers, 1:12, 1:9. So that was upgrading the local block makers. So we had three things. Number one, training of the masons for building construction techniques. Number two, upgrading the block makers with machines and mechanization of products. And third was supporting the local house owners with plans. And finally, training young members of the community to become community architects. And that, the last stage is continuing till today.
And 30 years on, these lanes pose a different picture, and the difference is there to see.
अब वो गलियों का जो मामला था, गलियों में हुकूमत के पास पैसे नहीं थे। लोग ये कहते थे कि ये काम हुकूमत का है। हम लोगों को ये समझा रहे थे कि हुकूमत के पास पैसे नहीं है, या तो फिर हुकूमत का हम इंतज़ार कर लें तो हमारे मकान तबाह हो जाएंगे। और हमारे घरों में जो बीमारियां हैं, वो जरासीम का जो मामला है, जो गटर हमने बनाए हुए हैं, उससे बावर्ची खाने का इंतज़ाम या लेट्रिन का, ये तमाम जरासीम हमारे घरों में जा रहा है और हमारी बीमारियां बहुत ज़्यादा आम हैं। हम अपने कमाई का बहुत ज़्यादा पैसा डॉक्टर को दे रहे हैं। तो फिर हमने इनको मोटिवेट किया और समझाया कि आप वो चीज़ जो है, अपनी मदद आपके तहत इसको बना लिया जाए।
तब्दीली यही सब देखा कि अब सारे ये सब खुला हुआ था, कुछ नहीं था। बस एक कमरा उनका बना हुआ था, एक कमरा इनका बना हुआ था। यही इतनी आबादी थी। अभी तो बहुत आबादी हो गई वहाँ से। गली से तो ऐसे बैठा नहीं जाएगा बेटा, ऐसे बैठ नहीं सकेगा गली में। जनरेटर लाइट नहीं, जनरेटर जलाते, जनरेटर वाले 12 बजे तक देते हैं, 12 बजे के बाद बंद कर देते हैं। भूसी वाला आता था, गाड़ी लेके दे रहा, उससे हम लोग भूसी खरीदते हैं। रूबी को बोला, टीन का चूल्हा लेकर के तो बनाते हैं, अम्मी को बोला, और उसमें खाना बनाते हैं।
पानी वगैरह का क्या सिलसिला?
अब पानी का लोग कंधे पर करके, सर पे करके, छोटे छोटे बच्चे बड़े सब वैसे पानी लाते कहाँ से, जान रहे हो? ये सब बदला, पानी आ गया, बिजली आ गया, गैस आ गया, बहुत आराम बेटा। गटर लाइन बन गया, बदबू गली का बंद हो गया। अभी हम ऐसे बैठे हुए हैं।
कैसे हुआ ये सब कुछ?
ये सब इन लोगों के बदौलत बनाए मर्दे लोग, क्या क्या करके तो बनवाए सब।
Formal settlements are already there, and the links of employment, education, and social networks are well established. Uprooting them promotes fragmentation, social conflict, and increased inequity. In addition, people have invested more than $3 billion in building their homes in informal settlements, and this includes in most cases acquiring legal water, electricity, gas, and telephone connections. The state, on the other hand, has invested more than $1 billion in providing the physical and social infrastructure. Planners and academics are of the opinion that these settlements can be upgraded to become socially and environmentally sustainable and aesthetically pleasing. Apart from this, a modest estimate for relocation in a city like Karachi reaches more than $10 billion, a sum that the economy of no developing country can afford.